Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and today we're going to return to Anthony Norvell. If you got a chance, I have an episode that was a lecture by Anthony Norvell on the 12 metaphysical laws. Anthony Norvell was a fantastic New Thought author, not necessarily New Thought old, but a newer New Thought author, I guess. And he gave a ton of lectures at Carnegie Hall, and according to his bio, traveled the world investigating scientific phenomenon and that kind of thing. It's really interesting. I've read recently some wonderful advertisements that he had in newspapers for a transcendental meditation, and he wrote more books than Neville Goddard. The interesting thing is his later books, he called himself Norvell. So it's possible people may have bought his books thinking it was Neville. And the writing is very similar. It's not as biblical. And there's some really good prayers and affirmations and techniques that he developed. Now, some of them are just kind of funny, but his best book is The $1 Million Secret. And I found a lecture transcript that he gave in 1957 on how to build $1 million consciousness. And I really wanted to read it because it's really important. I get people that ask me all the time, hey, if you can create your reality, why don't you just become a millionaire? And what you'll find when you learn the technique of reality creation is that's not so easy. There is a feeling for being a millionaire. Now, the secret to creating reality is the feeling is the secret. Check out my episode from Neville Goddard, the book called The Feeling is the Secret. So if you can create the feeling for something, then you can manifest that thing in your life. But what is the feeling of being a millionaire? It's a very specific feeling, and it's very difficult to generate if you have not experienced it. So when you go to the next step and try to understand what it's like to be a millionaire, it's good to read books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, where he has interviewed other successful people and explained how they were feeling, essentially. There's a drive and motivation, a way of thinking that's involved. It is a specific kind of consciousness that you must learn to develop. And I've tried to explain this in different episodes. The Prosperity Revolution is another terrific episode that explains this, but I think that in this lecture, Norvell, as he would call himself, just does a fantastic job in trying to give you an idea of how to create that $1 million consciousness, and even gives some examples of interviews of different millionaires. What I recommend, the best thing that you can do is start reading autobiographies. It is the best way to get into the feeling of being a millionaire. You say you want $1 million, but do you have any idea how much money that is? Or what it would be like to spend $1 million, or to make it, or how you would feel if you had $1 million? So most people end up trying to sort of manifest as if they're going to win the lottery all of a sudden. Most of the time, that's not how it works. God is incredible and uses all kinds of different bridges of incidents to take you from your conscious thought into the manifestation of the world that you want to create. So we can go back and look at the experts who really tried to evaluate the idea of the feeling of the $1 million consciousness. And once you let these words soak in, you too can start to create that $1 million consciousness. Norvell begins by saying, you can magnetize your higher mind centers with the $1 million consciousness and begin to instantly think, feel, look, and live like a millionaire. It is in the mental realm that you first must begin to think you are going to be a millionaire. In the realm of the mind, all things are possible. Mental concepts have always preceded physical action and material achievement. It was in his mind that man first visualized himself flying like a bird. Realization of this dream came after he He had built the consciousness that he could fly. In back of every great fortune, there is the $1 million consciousness first. Every person who became a millionaire first had to think in terms of big money and success. A limited consciousness brings a limited income. When you expand your mind and visualize new money horizons, you will soon be thinking like a successful and rich person. We shall study the techniques for building the $1 million consciousness so that you can begin instantly to think, talk, look, and act like you already have the $1 million fortune you are projecting. Regimen to build the $1 million consciousness. 1. To imprint the idea of infinite riches on your higher consciousness. Take the Millionaire's secret vow of riches. Every person who achieves a big fortune has made a secret pact with his higher subconscious mind. Sometimes it is no more than just a mental determination to be rich and successful. Sometimes it is more clearly and deliberately stated in written or spoken form and becomes a dynamic command to the subconscious mind to build a fortune. The Millionaire's secret vow of riches. Repeat the following secret vow of riches every day for the next month until it becomes so firmly engraved on your subconscious mind that it is an automatic part of your mental and physical reflex action. I now take the Millionaire's vow for riches. I recognize that there are infinite treasures in the cosmic cornucopia of riches and abundance. I draw upon the unlimited resources of the universe for my own enrichment. I desire unlimited supplies of money and material goods so that I may use my riches to help my family and to give something of value to the world. I recognize that I am only a channel for the release of God's treasures, for the enrichment of the world. I therefore vow that I shall do only good with my future fortune. I take an oath that I shall use money to help uplift those who are downtrodden, to liberate those imprisoned by poverty, to idealize the standards of the world, to strive to help children, the sick, the poor, the imprisoned, the blind and crippled, so they may know greater joy. I shall use my money and earthly treasures to educate, inspire, and uplift humanity, to help bring peace to the world, to banish discrimination and racial prejudice, to bring about equality for all, and to use my supply and abundance for the good of humanity and the greater glory of God. When you once involve the thought of riches in your subconscious mind, it begins to evolve the methods for you to achieve the fortune you desire. A man who married when he was 24 was so poor that he didn't have the money to buy an engagement ring. On the day of his wedding, he gave his wife a check made out for a date 25 years from that day for $25,000. He told his wife to cash the check on that future date. Both of them forgot this beautiful wedding gift from a loving, poor husband. But the man's subconscious mind did not forget this vow of riches that was prompted by his loving heart. Exactly 25 years later, this man was a millionaire, and one day his wife ran across the check, and on their 25th wedding anniversary, she cashed it without question or doubt that it would be good. Such is the power of your higher mind when you program it with the $1 million consciousness. It will set about automatically to bring you everything you involve in your higher mind centers. Another interesting example of how the subconscious mind never forgets a vow of riches when it is sincerely made was that of another man who married a girl with no future prospects that he would ever be rich. However, he vowed to her on their wedding day that on their 10th wedding anniversary, he would present her with a special gift, a $10,000 string of real pearls. This man became a big business success in that period of time, and right on schedule, he gave his wife a beautiful pearl necklace worth $10,000. 2. Create your own golden hall of fame, where you join the invisible brotherhood of rich, famous, and influential people. To do this, you obtain a scrapbook, the type you put snapshots in, then cut out of magazines and newspapers the pictures and names of people who are rich, famous, successful, or gifted in some special way. This golden hall of fame can include movie stars, TV personalities, political figures, millionaires in industry, inventors, composers, great lawyers, doctors, explorers, writers, artists, space astronauts, sports stars, scientists, educators, religious leaders. In fact, any person you admire or that you wish to emulate and pattern your success after. A few of these famous people you might want to add to your Golden Hall of Fame might be Onassis, Rockefeller, Howard Hughes, J. Paul Getty, Bing Crosby, W. Clement Stone, Churchill, the late President Roosevelt, Muhammad Ali, or any other person you admire. If you do not have a photograph from a magazine or newspaper, just write down the person's name on the page. Then put your photograph on the same page with these famous and successful people. Each night, just before going to bed, look at yourself in the Golden Hall of Fame with these illustrious persons and give yourself the following subconscious programming for riches. I now elevate myself to the Golden Hall of Fame with the immortals, the rich, the successful, and I program my subconscious mind to make me worthy of a place alongside these illustrious persons. I ask for the talents and the riches and recognition that these people have earned and promise myself that I shall arise to be worthy of the high goals and the riches that I ask for. I have confidence in my ability to rise to high places, and I now accept the glory and recognition that shall be mine. 3. Take an inventory of your present treasures. Realize that you may already be enjoying some things that all millionaires do not now have. You cannot always equate money with happiness. You may have the health, happiness, and peace of mind that is often denied to those who have millions. It is always good to take a mental inventory of your present riches, to realize that you may already have treasures that money in itself cannot buy. In the past few years, 5 multimillionaires committed suicide. They had everything money could buy, but they were so miserable they could not face life. You can have millions and still be happy, but without millions, you should not be miserable. If you correctly inventory your present treasures, you will find you may have more than many millionaires. The $1 million inventory should include A. Peace of mind. B. Good friends who like you for yourself, not your money. C. Good health, mentally and physically, without pain or anxiety about the future. Love, happiness, marriage, a family of your own. These are treasures money cannot buy. Creative work that you enjoy and which you do not do just for money, but for satisfaction and peace of soul, with faith in God and spiritual security, which gives you the treasures of spirit, are often denied to those who make money their God. To show you how millions of dollars do not always buy happiness, I once was in a barber shop when a very rich man came in to have his hair cut. It was obvious he was a very rich man by the way everyone bustled to wait on him. The manicurist rushed to his side. The shoeshine boy began to polish his shoes. The barber practically bowed as he began to give him a haircut and shave. The man had a big diamond stick pin in his tie, which was in the shape of a horseshoe. He wore a huge diamond ring on his finger. His clothes were tailor-made and obviously expensive. He was, one could see at a glance, a big shot. When this man left the barbershop, he gave everyone a generous tip. And my barber turned to me and said, "Do you know who that man was?" I said, "No, who was he?" He replied, "That's one of the big racketeers in the city. He owns racehorses, has beer trucks, numbers rackets, and everything you can name that is illegal. He's worth millions of dollars." Then he went on to tell me that the man suffered from high blood pressure, had recently had 2 severe heart attacks. His wife had just run off with a younger man, and his 6-year-old son had just been run over by a truck. Yes, you guessed it, by a beer truck. The barber went on to say, that man's money can't buy him everything but love, peace of mind, health, happiness, and his son's life. I also wanted to add, his money can buy him everything but heaven. Yes, you can have $1 million and still be happy. But if you make money your God, you will probably lose out on the true spiritual, mental, and moral treasures of life. 4. Protect your image of the wealth you will one day have by now taking a mental inventory of the things you want money for in the future. Your subconscious mind will be deeply impressed by such a survey of the riches you hope to have and the things you wish to do with your money. You can call this projection of future wealth, your money blueprint for the future. Under this heading, list the things you want money for and the sums of money you feel you need for future security. Your list might look like the following, or you can make up one to suit your exact needs. A. I would like to work in which I shall be able to make $15,000 a year to meet my future needs. B. I would like to be in my own home business making $50,000 or more a year. Here, try to be specific, telling your subconscious mind if you want a restaurant, a beauty shop, a health food store, a machine shop, a garage, an interior decorating business, a photographic studio, or some kind of business where you give service to the public, such as accounting, repairing machines, income tax returns, health services, or any other special type of service. C. I would like to buy a new car of the following make, model, and color. Here, describe the type of car you desire and the approximate cost. Do not be ashamed to buy a second-hand car if your pocketbook is not overflowing with money at present, for this is a beginning, and later it can be turned in on a new car. I know a very wealthy man and his wife who could afford to buy a new car every year, but for 25 years he told me he has bought a second-hand Cadillac with about 50,000 miles on it. He was told by a good mechanic that a Cadillac is just about broken in at that time and is much better buy than a new car. He keeps the car an average of 5 years and then turns it in on another one, thus keeping up on modern mechanical improvements. D. I want to buy a home of my own in which to bring up my family and give them comfort and security. I want the house to be located in the country. Here it is important to state the location you want, the style of architecture, the number of rooms, and other details about its furnishings. It is also important to pick the class of house you want. If it is to be a small cottage, obviously your money requirements will be more reasonable than if it is to be a mansion. It is important that you let your subconscious know what you expect, for it must prepare itself to reveal the methods by which you can make the larger sums to pay for the bigger house. For example, a man and his wife in California came into our work and learned about subconscious money programming. They were married and had 2 children when I met them, but the man was working for a salary in a leather goods store where he was a salesman and made good commissions. However, they could never look forward to big sums of money nor a big house. The man had been reared in Texas, and his father had a leather goods shop where he manufactured handmade wallets, handbags for women, makeup kits, and even fancy cowboy boots for rodeo stars. When he told me his big ambitions, I quoted the Bible and asked, "What hast thou in thine house?" He replied, "I am good in making leather objects." Then he showed me a handmade leather wallet made of ostrich skin, which he had created. It cost him only the price of the leather, and it was worth easily $150 on the market. He said, "But I don't have the money to open a shop." He then told me he had a leather sewing machine in his home, so I told him, "Why don't you begin with what you now have and take orders for wallets, boots, and handbags from your friends and do the work in your spare time in your own apartment?" He had not thought of that, but he decided he would begin the following week. He had cards made up, telling of his specialty in handmade leather goods and featuring a pair of cowboy boots in color on the front of his card. He later told me the astounding story of how his subconscious mind shaped his entire money-making desires into practical ideas to instantly bring him a bigger income. A friend of his, for whom he made a pocketbook for free, received one of his cards. He worked in studios as a carpenter, and it just happened that he met one of the big cowboy stars at that particular studio. This man was always buying new boots, holsters, saddles, and other leather goods for his work. One day he called up this leather worker and ordered a half-dozen pair of boots, a new holster, and other equipment, including a suede jacket for his wife. The upshot of this was that the movie star was so impressed by this man's work that he offered to back him in his own shop and told him he would pay the money back as he earned it. If he lost, he could take it off his taxes. With this big loan, the man from Texas opened a small leather business, hired 3 assistants, and with his connection with studios already formed, other cowboy stars, recording artists, and the general public began to patronize his business. Now, exactly 3 years later, this man has one of the most successful leather goods manufacturing businesses on the West Coast. He repaid the movie star's loan, put a big down payment on his dream home out in San Fernando Valley, and is on his way to making his first $1 million. I want the sum of $100,000 for future overall security, so I may have the leisure to travel, to advance my cultural interest, and to give my children a higher education. This general overall statement can include specific things you want in your life that will require large sums of money. If you know these things and write them down on your future money inventory, they will be caught up in the automatic processes of your computer-like subconscious mind and be more likely to evolve. If you do not have any specific goals or sums of money in mind, you will never receive subconscious guidance to the achievement of your higher money goals. A woman in California used this method to program into her subconscious mind that she wanted the sum of $1,000 for a specific immediate need. She had 2 children, a boy of 17 and a girl of 19. She wanted them to have a trip to Hawaii during their summer vacation. She and her husband had been to Hawaii on their honeymoon, and she wanted her children to share in that wonderful trip, so they would have beautiful memories for the future. Within 1 month, her husband received a $2,000 bonus for a big deal he had put over for his firm. And the entire family went to Hawaii on their vacation. If this woman and her husband had not protected these extra sums of money, he might not have had the inspiration to put over the big deal. Very often, it takes such an emotional, motivating desire to prod the subconscious mind to make that extra effort, which can bring additional sums of money for specific purposes. F. Carry at all times in your pocketbook a check made out to yourself for $1 million. Sign the check. God, the universal banker. Look at the check at least 3 times a day and begin to imprint on your subconscious mind the following programming. I now possess $1 million or more in cashable assets. The resources of the universe are mine, as well as anyone else's. The gold, silver, oil, iron, uranium, and all the products of the earth, including agricultural ones, are mine. I possess the free parks, the museums, art galleries, public libraries, and theaters. I own the subway and bus and other transportation. I possess the millions of dollars worth of entertainment on radio and television, which I may have every day of my life. I now claim my divine inheritance and realize that now, in this moment, I have more than $1 million in assets, which I may use and enjoy freely. G. Form a treasure chest in which you magnetize the elements you desire in jewels, stocks, deed to property, or other riches you want your subconscious mind to program for your future. For this purpose, attain a small box, such as a man uses as a cufflink box or a lady uses for a jewel box. Label this box my treasure chest. Then put in the following items. If you do not have the real article, an imitation will do. A small piece of gold or silver, and a bag of colored glass to stimulate diamond, pearl, ruby, emerald, or other precious stone. Write down on small sheets of paper the deed to my dream home. On another sheet, write 1,000 shares of General Motors or some other stock that you will find listed in the financial pages of the newspaper. Then take 10 pieces of paper and cut them the size and shape of money, and put in the 4 corners of each piece the sum of 10,000. These 10 sheets now number up to $100,000. You can count these over each night before going to bed, visualizing them as being real money, and daydreaming on how you will spend this money. If you wish to build the $1 million consciousness, you can use the treasure chest principle by cutting out 10 sheets of paper and numbering them in the 4 corners with a figure of $100,000. These 10 sheets now add up to $1 million. To treat your subconscious mind to a perpetual money feast, make it a point to look at your treasures each day, at least once. Preferably just before going to bed at night. Your subconscious mind will be deeply impressed by these objects, and you will be magnetizing your brain centers to respond with money-making ideas that will soon start the flow of money, goods, and precious gifts into your life. A young lady who used this method to bring her money, or its equivalents, had always wanted a big diamond ring. She was engaged at the time she learned about this method of subconscious mind programming, but her fiancé did not have the money to buy her a big engagement ring. She began her treasure chest and put into it the dream home for the future, and a piece of glass, which she mentally labeled as a diamond. Within 1 week, her future mother-in-law called her on the telephone and told her she wanted to see her. When the girl arrived at her home, the woman took out a small jewel case and said, "I don't know why, but yesterday something made me go to my safety deposit box at the bank and took out this jewel, which my husband gave me 30 years ago. When he died, I put it in the vault and have never worn it since." The woman opened the little jewel box, and there was a magnificent big blue-white diamond ring. She said, "Here, I want you to have it." Later, this same girl, after she had married, received as gifts from her mother-in-law a string of pearls, a ruby ring, a diamond and sapphire pin, and other trinkets that were given to her as gifts. Her subconscious mind somehow sent out the cosmic command to the only source from which she could receive these treasures she had mentally programmed. H. Create your scrapbook of destiny to build a $1 million consciousness. Take an ordinary scrapbook and paste into it all newspaper or magazine pictures of houses, cars, furs, furnishings, or other objects you want to attract. Besides actual pictures of objects, you may also put into your scrapbook any articles dealing with the lives of wealthy persons, their methods for building their fortunes, and items from the financial pages of newspapers about the stock market or big business. Let these financial items furnish your subconscious mind with the consciousness of big money and methods that wealthy and successful people have used to build their personal fortunes. Whenever you want to build a bigger money consciousness, glance through your money scrapbook and read the various stories of how millionaires have built their fortunes. Then let the information sink into your subconscious mind. Later, you will be automatically guided to take steps that will cause you to attract money or get big business ideas that can make you rich. I once interviewed several millionaires to discover their secrets for building their fortunes. I found out that most of them had projected their dream fantasies, the desire that they would one day become successful and rich. Each one told me the secret dreams he had as a youngster, and it seemed always to be that they wanted to do something for the world, for their families, for humanity in general, rather than just to make money for its own sake. Most successful people spent a great deal of time daydreaming. They admit that even their nightly dreams were filled with visions of success, in which they saw themselves achieving great things, money pouring in, and the world acclaiming them and their creative ideas. When Aristotle Onassis was a young man, he once told me he worked as a deckhand on merchant ships. He helped pack goods in the huge cargo ships that went to America, South America, and ports in all parts of the world. After his work was finished, he would often sit on deck, relaxing and daydreaming. He always projected the dream that one day he would have ships voyaging to all parts of the world. His dreams were filled with visions of himself on luxury yachts, entertaining rich and important people. In these dreams, he saw himself conversing intelligently with those who had college educations. And even though he was not an intellectual, he dreamed himself as cultured, suave, and polished. His psychic twin was trying to steer him to the great destiny that was to be his. As a poor boy in Scotland, Andrew Carnegie had frequent dreams that he would one day go to America and become rich and successful. He did not know how or when, but deep within his heart, he knew that his dreams of wealth would one day be realized. Early in his career, Charles Revson had the dream of creating beauty aids for women. He had just begun the Revlon Beauty Company when I met him, and he told me, even as a young man, I admired beauty in women. I wanted in some way to bring to women all over the world higher standards of beauty culture that would enhance their natural appearance. His dreams came true when he founded the Revlon Beauty Products Company, which made him enormously rich and, more importantly, fulfilled his dream of making women even more attractive and desirable. Daydreams often shape our nightly world and cause us to act out the parts we have chosen to play on the stage of life. In dreams, we frequently receive the psychic stimulation to invent some useful object, to compose beautiful music, to write great stories, to paint magnificent canvases, to discover a scientific formula that will benefit the world. A strange series of events brought Eli Whitney to the invention of his cotton gin, which changed the industry of the South. Whitney had a pet canary and also a pet cat. One evening, as he dozed before his fireplace, he heard the frantic squeaking of his canary. When he rushed to the cage, he saw his cat reaching in through the bars of the cage to catch the canary. As the bars were too closely spaced to permit the bird's body to go through, the cat only got a paw full of feathers. As Whitney sat before the fireplace again in reverie, the idea suddenly came to him for the invention of the cotton gin. He saw iron bars with narrow spaces between them and an iron claw going in between the bars, catching the cotton and pulling it out while the cotton seeds remained behind the iron bars. This idea for the cotton gin was destined to change the course of history. The American inventor Robert Fulton had a dream in which he saw water heated to a high degree, furnishing steam to more engines. He even dreamed up the idea of a steam torpedo, which would sail underwater and sink enemy ships. He went to Napoleon with this idea, but the conqueror of all Europe, except England, could not see its value. With the steam torpedo, Napoleon could have sunk all the British frigates that were in the harbor across the English Channel, and Napoleon might have been the ruler of the world. The vision of a world on wheels put B.F. Goodrich's dream into action when he perfected tires for America's new cars. William Wrigley had dreamed of riches and fame, and it spurred him into the discovery and manufacture of gum, which made him a fortune. Louis Liggett had dreams of healing a sick world, and his psychic twin gave him ideas for establishing drug chains that made him rich. The two partners who got the idea of mail-order merchandising for those who lived in rural areas and could not get to big department stores formed the Sears Roebuck Company from a dream that they both had in their early years. The dream, which became his magnificent obsession, that he would one day create the most perfect car in the world, drove a man to invent the Rolls-Royce. He found a partner with plenty of money, and together they formed a company to produce cars that had become a symbol of elegance, riches, and perfection. Throughout history, a dream has preceded the creation of something that benefited humanity or led to great discoveries in science, medicine, art, music, literature, and industry. Behind every big company that provides services to the world, there was someone's dream that came into glorious reality. IBM was founded by Tom Watson, who dreamed of bringing electronics into industry to improve efficiency and increase production. His motto, which was written on a card over every desk in the IBM building, was the single word, think. Your dreams project thought into its creative manifestations, and your psychic twin will dream up the methods by which you can achieve the fulfillment of your dreams of riches, fame, and success. Such companies as Ford, General Motors, American Telephone and Telegraph, Bethlehem Steel, United States Steel, Chrysler, and Exxon. All of these great organizations came from the crystallized dreams of men and women who had big dreams and who achieved big success. How do you turn your dreams of success into reality? There is a formula that I have given thousands of lecture members throughout the country. It is dream, dare, and do. Dream the big dream. Have the big, bold idea that you can achieve the great success you desire. Program this vivid dream into your psychic mind centers by constant repetition of the thought that you will become rich, famous, and world-renowned if that is your desire. Your higher psychic mind centers will then become so programmed with these creative and inspiring ideas of success that they will magnetize your brain and literally make it a money magnet. Cecil Rhodes was a very sick youngster, given up by doctors to die. He had tuberculosis, and in those days of the 19th century, there was no known cure for the disease. He kept repeating his desire over and over. I will live. I will become famous and rich. I will found an empire that will bear my name. He daydreamed himself into health and riches. In those hours of lying in bed waiting to die, he found the strength and courage to dream of future greatness. Under the impetus of this magnificent obsession, his psychic twin gave him the idea of going to Africa to regain his health and to make his fortune. While in Africa, he became healed and founded his empire of 15,000 acres of beautiful land. He cultivated the land and in so doing discovered a diamond field that made him a multimillionaire. When he died, he left a bequest to establish the Rhodes Scholarship at Oxford University. If you dream continually about defeats, disappointments, poverty, and sickness, then you have been negatively programmed. You can change the content of your consciousness, and soon your dreams will reflect your optimism, the expectation of good things, and will furnish you with the psychic drive to achieve your life goals. I once met the famous producer Gabriel Pascal at a party in Hollywood. He had brought the then new star Greer Garson with him, and Pascal Greer, her mother, and I remained long after the guests had gone, talking about psychic phenomena, dreams, and other fascinating subjects dealing with mystical experiences. Pascal believed in astral projection, reincarnation, and the soul's ability to project itself during one's sleeping state, to discover secrets of the universe, to communicate with those on other planes of consciousness, and to reach into the minds of others to influence and control them. He told of how he had frequent dreams over the years that he would become famous and rich, but the method of doing so was always concealed from him. He saw himself being entertained by kings and presidents. He visualized the life he would have as a worldwide traveler, and he knew in his dreams that this would all come about in some way through the medium of motion pictures. One day, as he sat in meditation, his psychic twin gave him a sudden jolt. I want you to get the motion picture rights to all George Bernard Shaw's stage plays, it told him. Pascal said. He argued back, but I haven't any way of reaching Shaw. I have no money, no background, and even if I got to him, he would probably throw me out of the house. I know how bad-tempered he is and how he has turned down millions of dollars from motion picture producers for his plays. But his psychic twin would not give up. It kept prodding Pascal with this idea until he finally gave in and decided he would try to reach Shaw. Not having the bus fare to go into the country where Shaw lived, Pascal hitchhiked all the way to Shaw's sumptuous estate, many miles from London. When he arrived, he was tongue-tied, certain he would not say a single word, but when the butler opened the door, he suddenly found something taking over his mind and speaking through him. He listened in amazement as the butler admitted him and told him to follow him into Mr. Shaw's study. When Pascal found himself before the great playwright, he was cringing in fear. But his psychic twin took over once more, and he heard himself saying, "Mr. Shaw, I have long admired your great plays. And I think it's time for the entire world to be able to see your genius through the medium of motion pictures. Shaw started to speak, but Pascal silenced him with a gesture and continued, "I am the one man in the world who can produce them exactly as you've written them." This sentence seemed to strike a responsive chord in Shaw as he listened to Pascal as he talked for an hour, convincing Shaw that he could do justice to his plays through the medium of motion pictures. At the end of that hour, Shaw signed an agreement giving Pascal all the rights to produce his stage plays as motion pictures. That contract was the beginning of a multi-million-dollar fortune for Pascal. Armed with this document, Pascal went to Hollywood and immediately won a contract with one of the biggest studios to produce all of Shaw's plays. Program into your higher psychic mind centers a master motive to inspire you to great actions. If you are highly inspired in life, your dreams will reflect beauty, order, harmony, and happiness. However, if your conscious mind is filled with chaos, if you are disorderly in your person or environment, if you are living in confusion, discord, and friction, it is likely that your psychic mind centers have been programmed with negative forces that give your dreams an element of confusion and chaos. You can check your own dreams to see if you are living under the whiplash of fear, worry, and anxiety. If so, you will see some of the following symbols in your dreams. Do you often dream you are searching for something valuable but cannot find it? Do you start to go somewhere and then discover that you are not adequately dressed or cannot find the clothes you need? Sometimes, in such dreams of disorientation, you may find yourself wearing nothing and being embarrassed at the stares of those around you. Do you sometimes dream that you are trying to catch a train or plane? And after many delays and setbacks, you finally arrive at the station only to find the vehicle is left without you. This type of dream often means that you are not mentally prepared for your success and have, so to speak, missed the boat. Such dreams of low motivation for achieving your goal may reveal you in situations where you lose your money, either accidentally or through gambling ventures. No matter how hard you try, you keep on losing money. Sometimes these dreams will disguise themselves as policemen, judges, public officials, or political leaders. Contacts with them in these confused dreams usually lead to terrible problems and subsequent disasters. One man kept dreaming that he was drunk and driving a car. He was apprehended by a policeman who took him before a judge, and the judge sentenced him to a year in jail. This man neither drank nor drove recklessly in real life, but his psychic twin used these symbols to show he was imprisoned by his present job and life circumstances, which represented his failure to achieve his life goals. Sometimes these dreams will portray hell with flames burning the damned, and the dreamer tries to escape his punishment but cannot. Such a nightmare vision usually causes a person to awaken puzzled as to the meaning of his dream. It usually indicates conscious pangs of guilt because he has not achieved the goals he has set for himself and remains in a hell-like situation of poverty, lack, and limitation. If you want to change the nature of your dreams, from failure to success, from misery to happiness, and from suffering to enjoyment of life, change your psychic motivation. Remember, it is your psychic twin that causes you to dream. Call this psychic twin the psyche, the unconscious, the subconscious, or superconscious mind. It is all the same. Actually, it is that intuitive side of your mind that knows how to demonstrate for you whatever pattern of events you consciously or unconsciously choose towards the destiny you are creating. Program one or more of the following 8 master motives into your psychic centers, and then repeat or review these master motives every day of your life to see if you are utilizing them in shaping your destiny. 1. The desire for great achievement. 2. The desire to help your family. 3. The desire to improve yourself. 4. The desire to accumulate a fortune. 5. the desire for more knowledge and intellectual power. 6. The desire to have friends and a congenial social life. 7. The desire to be healthy and live a long life. 8. The desire to love and be loved. When you have formulated the particular master motives that are to be programmed into your higher psychic mind centers, you can begin to work each day to make them a living reality. You can have all 8 motivations in your psychic drive for fulfillment of your dreams, or you may settle for only 2 or 3. Say you select the desire to accumulate a fortune, the desire to be healthy and live a long life, and the desire to love and be loved. You can work on these 3 first, in order of their importance to you. Then add the other master motives as you require them. Many people have one big master motive in life: to become rich. It is good to want riches, but it should not be the magnificent obsession of your life, for in so doing you are apt to lose out on the other great values that give life purpose and meaning. The great Chinese poet and mystic Lao Tse once told his students, "Last night I had a very vivid dream in which I was a beautiful golden-winged butterfly, flying from flower to flower and enjoying myself greatly. That life as a butterfly seemed so real that when I awakened and found myself a man lying in bed, I thought to myself, am I now a butterfly dreaming I am a man? Or am I a man dreaming myself to be a butterfly?" The dream and the dreamer are inextricably bound together, the warp and woof in destiny, and cannot be separated. When you program yourself with dreams of greatness, you will become great. If you program your psychic centers with dreams of vast riches, you will be intuitively guided to do the things that will make you wealthy. If you dream of great achievements, of having a superior mind, brilliant gifts and talents, your higher psychic centers must be motivated into spontaneous action that will result in the building of your tapestry of dreams into a solid structure that will be your future destiny. Remember, you can magnetize your brain centers and begin to think, look, and act like a millionaire, giving you the benefit of riches even before you have $1 million. The millionaire's secret vow of riches can instantly put you into the millionaire class and build the consciousness of unlimited wealth. Put yourself into the millionaire's golden hall of fame and begin at once to feel like a millionaire. Take a mental inventory of your personal riches and begin to enjoy these treasures. Your $1 million inventory should include friends, good health, love, happiness, creative work, mental peace, and spiritual serenity. Build your money blueprint for the future and program your subconscious mind with big money ideas. A business of your own, a beautiful car, your dream home and money with which you can travel, afford luxuries, and educate your future children. Program your subconscious mind by carrying a check made out to yourself for $1 million and by building money awareness. Use the treasure chest to plant your subconscious mind gifts of jewels, a home of your own, and other precious objects. Build your money scrapbook of destiny to chart your destiny for attracting houses, lands, cars, jewels, stocks, and other things of value that you desire. Remember the secrets that millionaires told me for building a fortune. They had projected in their dream fantasies a master motive for wanting to become rich and successful that went beyond a desire to just make money. You can use a dream formula to turn your dreams into reality. Dream, dare, and do. This formula has been behind the most of the world's great achievements. You can use master motives to push your psychic mind into the direction of fame, fortune, good health, and great achievement. Some dreams and symbols indicate that you lack a master motive and you are suffering under the whiplash of fear, worry, and anxiety. You can change these dreams of frustration and failure into master motives for greater achievement. A desire to help your family, to improve yourself, to accumulate a fortune, and to find love and happiness. And that is a speech by Norvell about building the $1 million consciousness. And what I like about this, it goes beyond the money. It's really establishing that many great millionaires have used these different techniques. At the beginning of this lecture, the techniques that he gives sound fantastic. The treasure box. These different techniques give you a way of repeatedly bringing up the money mindset. If you've heard the story, the classic law of attraction story of Jim Carrey writing himself $1 million check and then cashing the check once he had got a movie role. This was written before Jim Carrey, and writing yourself $1 million check works. I have one sitting in front of my desk. Now the big thing, the turning point, the $1 million consciousness that I have found that is linked to Norvell's teaching is that once you think of something outside of yourself, something for the greater good, something that can help others out, then you will start to have ideas come up through your subconscious. And those are the beginning points where you make money or you find things that you can do. It always has been for me. When I was only worried about money or I needed something in particular for myself, I wouldn't have the expansive imagination that I would have when I said, hey, I want to help as many people as possible. What things can I do to help? Not about the money. So I challenge you, you have some way you can help people out. And whatever it is, it will end up becoming profitable for you. So this gives you some great techniques that you can use that really make sense. Creating the treasure chest is fantastic. But I would like to end again with the Millionaire's Secret Vow of Riches, because I like it and it's a good way to end this lecture. You can join me in saying, I now take the millionaire's vow for riches. I recognize that there are infinite treasures in the cosmic cornucopia of riches and abundance. I draw upon the unlimited resources of the universe for my own enrichment. I desire unlimited supplies of money and material goods so that I may use my riches to help my family and to give something of value to the world. I recognize that I am only a channel for the release of God's treasures, for the enrichment of the world. I therefore vow that I shall do only good with my future fortune. I take an oath that I shall use money to help uplift those who are downtrodden, to liberate those imprisoned by poverty, to idealize the standards of the world, to strive to help children, the sick, the poor, the imprisoned, the blind and crippled, so they may know greater joy. I shall use my money and earthly treasures to educate, inspire, and uplift humanity, to help bring peace to the world, to banish discrimination and racial prejudice, to bring about equality for all, and to use my supply and abundance for the good of humanity and the greater glory of God. What is the millionaire consciousness, and how do we evoke this feeling? By trying the techniques given at the beginning, you can begin to evoke a millionaire's consciousness within yourself. As we learn later, when we look to other great millionaires that have created great fortunes, you can see that they achieved this through their dreams. And what you dream and imagine is what your reality is. With great motivation, you can dream something incredible. And I am dreaming that for you. So let me know what you think. How do we create a millionaire's consciousness? Put that in the comments. Please leave a review for my book, The Reality Revolution, on Amazon or on Audible, and you will be placed in a grand prize drawing for a free 1-hour coaching session with me if you need it. All episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.